and the bopping shall begin. That's us. Hello and welcome to the HR Data Labs Brown Bag Lunch, sponsored by Salary.com. I am your host, David Turetsky, alongside my best friend, co-host, and partner in whatever crime we're committing today, Dwight Brown from Salary.com. Dwight, how are you?
Good, Turetsky. I am good. How are you doing?
Okay. KC, what happened to his audio right there?
I don't know. His audio was good 2 seconds ago.
It was. It was good 2 seconds ago. And then it took a nosedive. Now it is.
Now it is? Okay.
Yeah,
my
now
internet connection has been on and off today, so
that makes for a great podcast.
Sounds like a typical Raymond Friday.
I'll get halfway through and you'd be like frozen. Totally frozen.
Well, while you're unfreezing, let's introduce our guest, KC Weinraub. KC, you're from eHealth Solutions?
I am. eHealth helps, the Medicare eligible folks out there find their right match. So it's kind of like a cars.com meets Medicare and health insurance.
So it's not the commercials at like 5 a.m., is it?
Exactly. We have Eve on there selling our eHealth product as our Medicare matchmaker. So
you mean like from Adam and Eve?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. She must be pretty old at this point.
She is. Well casted, of course.
Yes, I'm sure. Well, that's the generation. So you're selling to the appropriate age
We're
group.
all getting there, right? So.
Yes, we are. Yes, I get reminded
a
of that
little too
every single
quickly
day.
some days.
Yes, exactly. So, KC, now that we know a little bit about you, the one thing we ask each one of our guests on the HR Data Labs Brown Bag Lunch is, what's the last thing you did for the first time?
Oh, that's awesome. So I lost a job, but that's not really it. Back in 2019, pre-COVID, I was let go from a job I had for almost 8 years. And, these things happen. But then I tried a few new things, almost to kick myself in the butt and say new things are possible. And two that I can list to you are jiu-jitsu. So I did that for a little bit, and I really did get my butt kicked.
Yes, apparently.
Yeah. And then I also tried unicycling, which I thought was pretty hard to do, and I'm still trying to figure that out. Yeah.
So, unicycling.
Yeah.
I don't think we've had a,
yes, I
don't think we've had a guest that.
Wow.
Yeah. This is the first time we've had a guest that has been a unicycler, at least that we know of.
Not to
Admitted
take
to that.
yourself in a different direction.
Unicycler, at least that we know of.
It's a unicycle with a mountain bike tire, too. I'll send you guys a picture of it.
Lord.
It's like legit. So.
Okay.
Wow.
A legit unicycle.
A legit unicycle.
Well, that's the first, I think. So, sorry, KC.
Back to comp, though.
Yes, back to comp. So, KC, we're going to talk today about a really fascinating topic, and I think a lot that is on a lot of people's minds given the state of the economy, which is financial wellness. But in this case, what we're going to be talking about is compensation's role in that. And I'm a comp guy for 35 years, KC, and everything that I was ever taught was once we figure out how much to pay them and what to pay them, they have to be mature adults and figure it out for themselves. What's new about this?
I think everyone's realizing we're less mature adults these days. So a little more help and support is kind of what we're trying to give. And I guess the evolution there is, first it was just about getting the architecture right and the pay right. Then it was educating on payroll and taxes and the basics. But now it's a little bit more on how to earn well and climb the career path. And then we hear all this noise about stress and burnout. And it could be obviously the flow of emails or actual true work stress or a boss that's micromanaging, et cetera. But sometimes it's a little more personal and paycheck by paycheck for folks. And
a lot of people live in paycheck to paycheck. Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess the question is, so we're going to get involved now. Does that mean if we break it, we bought it? Or does that mean we're just trying to help?
What happens when employees behave badly? Boy, we could do an entire TV show, maybe a Netflix special on that. Well, Ryan and I sat down and recorded episodes for FAMA, and we asked practitioners, give us your most outrageous story. The sales leader that brings cocaine to work, whatever. Just bring us the outrageous, and it is funny. So if you need a laugh, which we all do from time to time, search for workplace misconduct wherever you get your podcast, and you'll find it. And trust me, you will laugh and cry, but you'll definitely laugh. All right. Thank you.
I think we're trying to lay out the obvious pieces in front of people easier, right? Like you have your Vanguards and Fidelities running 401ks, and they have wellness products in front of them already. So how do you just shine the light on that for your employees? So it's not really about starting anything new. It's just making sure you're having the right conversation at the right times.
You're really helping them understand the resources that have been there for them for quite a while. They just haven't seen it.
Yeah, and I think there's also natural times to talk to people about that, right? You just get a salary increase. Maybe after that hits, you think about your 401k. Do I adjust it? Do I know what's coming out, what's not coming out? Similar with bonus time, right? You just got a bonus. What do you plan on doing with that, right? Hopefully you're not just staying for the bonus and then leaving afterwards. So part of it is also a little bit of retention pull and saying, hey, we care about you guys.
Sure.
I guess one of the things that strikes me of this is that this is not just a one variable equation. There's a multivariate equation here, not just in the employment situation, meaning that the employee goes to work, they get a paycheck, they go home, but there's a bunch of other things that are involved in it. Like, for example, they may have multiple jobs, or they may get paid commission, so they may get paid other things. And so there's a lot of different factors to follow and to deal with here. I mean, we deal with a lot with multi-earner families as well. So is it oversimplifying it by saying there's a tool and that tool can help you? Or do these tools help from the entirety of the financial situation?
Oh, there is no one size fits all, So for us, it's really about breaking it into pieces of the financial journey. And within those pieces of the financial journey, trying to meet employees on where they are in that, right? So that's the generational aspect against, I guess, maybe socioeconomic, plus just are you more short-term and long-term in your current needs and topics around financial wellness?
And so much depends on that person by person piece of things. You look at somebody, to what you alluded to earlier, David, with you got multi-earner families, but if you've got somebody who is their own earner, you take someone like David or myself, and the financial repercussions of a particular event are felt in a very different way than, say, a multi-earner family might be.
Yeah. And I think it's also the value of the dollar, right? Like if you're giving somebody $1, but it goes to waste, it's less valuable. But if they have the tools to fish with that dollar, perhaps you're getting more in return.
Yeah, I think it goes back to the problem of people being mature about the waste. There are people who get into problems of addiction with gambling. There are problems who get into addiction with other things. I am addicted to buying crap that I don't need, which is probably genetic from my dad, because my mother's more frugal, but my dad never saw a bargain he didn't jump at. And,
I mean, that's a really cool looking microphone you have, so I get it.
Yes, it is.
Don't egg him on, KC.
Oh, come on. This is the egging time. But KC, that's the problem, though, is that being alive at this time is hard enough. Making sound, rational, mature decisions is harder. And a lot of people who fall into the trap of, yeah, well, I want to go to the Galapagos, or I want to invest in Bitcoin, or I want to, do this or that or the other thing, not thinking about the ramifications a year, 2 years from now, but making it for today. And granted, we don't know what tomorrow holds, so there's something to that.
Right.
Yeah, listen, I'm not trying to tell people what balance to live in, but if I can take all the tools from each of our vendors, maybe a good podcast or a PDF, an infographic, wrap it up together and let people do their own work and journey, get ahead of that proactive conversation, I feel like I'm doing my job. So that's the best part.
Yeah. I think the other problem is that because we're all at different stages of our lives, we're all in different places, and we all have different backgrounds, which give us, and Dwight and I have been on some podcasts where we've talked about I guess you could say the woundings we've had in the past. So somebody's wounding might mean that they want to, pardon the expression, squirrel away some money for the future, for problems. Whereas others say, my dad died of a heart attack when he was 69, so I'm going to live every single day like it's my last, and, heck with the future, because I don't think I'm going to live that long. And while these all sound like they're dour conversations around this, it absolutely plays into how you spend your money today and tomorrow.
Yeah. So the funny part is, as comp folks, right, we're part psychologists and part mathematicians. I just became a certified financial planner in my free time. I kind of like this finance stuff.
So we're going to put your details if people want to contact you, so that you can become smarter and richer by listening to this podcast.
Yeah, well, this can turn definitely into a pitch meeting if we want it.
Yeah.
But I guess the point is, though, that marriage of psychology and math and planning is a tough one, because as much planning as you do, your emotions, your fears, your greed, your, I guess definitely the fear of missing out and the want of Galapagos, for example.
FOMO, yeah.
Always leads you into moving astray from your plan. So,
if you have plans,
because
there are people who don't have plans.
Yeah.
The plan is, where am I going to spend Friday night, which is, tonight.
Right. And that's even dour, right? We want to help those people a little more than we can,
Well, and some people, to your point before, some people don't want help. They are or have that background that says, I want to enjoy today because tomorrow may not come. I mean, yeah, okay. I'm not talking about dystopian shit like a nuclear, pardon my expression, like a nuclear bomb or anything like that. I'm talking about crossing the street's a problem, especially in the cities. So, you never know when that cab's going to make the really quick turn and hit you, and, then it's a problem.
And some people have very deeply ingrained behaviors. They've been doing it for years. They don't know a way out. They know that things are not going in a good direction,
right?
But they just can't figure out how to get out of it, too.
Right. And obviously our job is not solving for that, thank God.
Right.
Yeah. There is a line for now.
It's the recognition of what we can and can't solve. We do our best to help as best possible, but
there are also things like daily pay and others which provide bridges to the payday. That Daily Pay is one of the companies. Zayzoon, I guess, is the other. There are a bunch of them now that do this, bridge to payday, where it doesn't have anything to do with the company. It has to do with the employee and that provider. The company's only signing up to enable that bridge to payday, which does provide some comfort to people when they can't borrow from other places and they need that money today, whether it's for medical bills, whether it's for, rent, and they don't want to get kicked out, and they need to make that rent payment on time.
Yeah, those are definitely worth turning on for the right company and culture. And I think that's probably the key to this too. I don't know if I mentioned at the front, but eHealth is a remote company. So we have people in every state in the country. And obviously the cost of living, the different socioeconomic environments people are in, whether they're in a city or they're in the country someplace, all plays into their personalization of what financial wellness is.
Right.
We just want to help them think about that in, a more clear, concise, processed, like approach. We actually break it into 3 weeks and talk to them about earning well and all the total reward stuff we give them as like the concept of now. Then week 2 is about short term and budget planning and just cash management. And then week 3 is like long term and like 401k, the ESPP program. So it's really still very total reward centric, but it's really bringing the story together in a financial wellness atmosphere.
When I worked for Morgan Stanley, KC, way back in the 90s, we used to have these horrible conversations with some leaders and some bankers about how their bonus was going to be cut back to a couple $1 million. And the horror for, and I'm not deriding them. Absolutely. It was horrible for them because they were planning for a much better year, but the horror and the impact and, it talks to that long-term planning you're talking about. I mean, short-term and long-term planning, the conversations were like, well, wait a minute, we're going to fund our pool with that money. Or
right. How do
I was going to send my kid to school with that money.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the misconception that some people have. They think that people who are earning high dollar are always in a comfortable position, where there are a lot of high dollar earners that are living paycheck to paycheck also.
Absolutely. It is not the realm of just one socioeconomic group to be pushing the envelope, and it has nothing to do necessarily with just their flirtation with debt, because debt is a flirtation. It has more to do with situational issues, whether it's people getting sick, like a family member or a loved one, whether it's education and being able to afford college and kind of stretching the dollar to be able to deal with that, or the turnarounds in the market and being able to lose everything you have because you placed the wrong bets. That's right. There wasn't anything that they did wrong there. I mean, maybe there was, but it could happen to anybody.
Yeah, I think lack of plans definitely mess up people in their personal lives, and obviously companies in their bigger situations too. And I think that's pretty much the takeaway from it. We just want folks to have a plan that's appropriate for them.
Oh, Casey, even in economic trouble spots, like when there were recessions or when there were market collapses or corrections, if you would, like 2008, people lost their ability to have that plan actually work out. I was one of them. I'm sure there are other people.
Yeah.
But,
I was actually at Morgan Stanley during that time, believe it or not. So I was in the exec comp team at Morgan Stanley answering questions about the stock price that dropped from the 80s to single digits.
Yeah.
So a whole lot of fear for anyone who was holding Morgan Stanley stock as well as anything at that time. But again, if you stayed in the market and you fast forward X amount of years, you made that back and more.
Yeah.
So again, I think it's that long-term vision, that planning, or having a resource where you're not going to make an emotional decision that's going to harm you.
Right, like selling at lows, right?
Yeah.
You don't do that, but so many people get freaked out by, like, for example, the correction or the fall that
Just
happened.
recent. Yeah,
just recently.
Yeah.
So.
And
So you knew Jeff
sent out a
Brodsky
note.
from Morgan Stanley, didn't you?
What did you say?
Jeff Brodsky?
Yeah, I know Jeff Brodsky. Yeah.
Yeah, he was there when I was there, way back in the 90s.
Yeah. My big shout out would go to like a Michael Castrogiovanni and a Jeff Tiffner. But they were alongside Jay Brodsky.
Oh, okay, cool. Anyway, so let's get back to the heart of the matter, which is talking about the financial wellness. And one of the aspects I want to talk about is how do you teach your kids? And because, it's great that you're doing this for your employees and you're working with your employees on this. How do you then translate this to a millennial or not millennials anymore, the alphas?
Yeah, it's a good question. I have a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old, so we're like in that moment right now.
There you go.
My 15-year-old is starting to get his permit or worker's permit for the summer. He's going to be a lifeguard.
Right.
And he took a business dynamics class and understands like a W-4 and understands an I-9. And he's kind of starting to get it. And we just opened a high school checking account for him.
There you go.
And I almost have high faith that he's going to be a saver versus a spender just in his natural capacity. My younger one, on the other hand, he wants everything and anything. So the second there's dollars, he's like, oh, how can I buy a brand new PS5 for the $100 that grandma's going to give him?
Well, he's got the bar mitzvah coming up, so he's got that, right?
Well,
Yeah.
except we're going to collect that and use that to pay back. So that's going all in his 529, all for college, right?
That's great. Yeah, that's a good idea.
But I think it's, to be honest, just being consistent with the conversation. Hey, this is our family values, right? Like money comes and goes. We're really here for gratitude, for family experiences. And if you're like clear on what your purpose is with you and your family, your kids kind of shine off that. And,
right.
I have good financial habits. It'll probably rub off on my kids.
You can hope.
To some extent, though, like there's still really good assets out there where you can go onto, let's say, the internet or ChatGPT and say, hey, my kid's this age, what level of financial, but I do warn people not to get too heavy on your kids' finances just yet, too.
Yeah. Hey, Dwight, we got 21 minutes in before we mentioned artificial intelligence. That's a record for us, KC.
That's like a lifetime for us.
Yeah, my God, I can't believe it. We had one podcast going where we didn't get there, and you brought us back in.
Well, the AI solution is when somebody's about to do something stupid, emotional, how do you get that AI robot to stop the emotion?
Well, that's agentic AI. You tell them, I'm going to cut off that credit card. That's what you have to do.
By the way, at eHealth, we just turned on agentic screeners on our phone calls. So if we have overflow, instead of waiting, now you'll actually have somebody to talk to.
Wow, that's great.
It's cool.
It's funny when you mentioned your kids, and I just see this pattern so often where the older kids so often have good money habits, and the youngest.
Yeah.
And my kids are the same way. My son just graduated college. He's got his first adult job. He's frugal, never wants to spend a dime. Where my daughter, who will be graduating college here in the next semester, she same as what you talked about with your kids. Where as soon as she's got $1, she's got to spend. And I've been trying to have the conversations with them. Number one, with my son saying, don't worry that much, worry, but don't worry that much. But my daughter, and then having the opposite conversation with my daughter of, look, you work all these hours a week, but yet you've never got any money. How does that work?
Yeah. I've been trying to train my kids, Dwight, using Greenlight, which is a financial wellness platform that's built for children, where it uses the funding mechanism of if they do their chores. Yeah. What's a chore? And it's all web based, it's all app based, and so you can actually have it where if they don't do their chores for a week, you don't pay them their allowance now, and you could split the allowance into savings and charity and whatnot. And investing and spending. And I've been trying to lean more toward the investing and savings and charity, de-emphasizing the spending part. But to Casey's point, and your point actually too, there's always one out of them that likes the spending part better than the others. So
yeah.
So
green light's good. My wife doesn't want to pay them for chores though, so my kids don't get an allowance. She believes it's part of living in the house. You want house, you want roof, you want bed, you want meals. Take out the trash.
wow.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
hardcore.
we should bring your wife into the conversation and talk to her. How do you do that?
Meanwhile, I'm like you. Let's incentivize everything.
Exactly. Well, we're comp people.
Right, exactly.
It's the carrot
Part
versus
of our
the
DNA.
stick.
If it's not $1, it's a pat on the back.
Exactly.
Right.
And by the way, the carrot versus the stick has actually come back because Donald Trump signed an executive order saying that corporal punishment in schools is now back in.
Oh, wild.
Yes.
Really? Oh, God.
Yes. Again, not getting political, but
No.
yes, the rulers are back in service at schools.
Right. No pun intended.
Yeah, exactly.
Ba-dum-bum. Good job, Casey. That's great. So we basically, let's come full circle on this. I want to go to financial wellness conversations around long-term incentive because we touched on it a little bit. Even when I was at Morgan Stanley, and maybe when you were there in the executive comp area, one of the really fascinating things is that we had these brilliant people in investment banking who we had to talk to about what's an employee stock option versus a tradable stock option. And I think that is certainly compensation's purview to have the conversation of what's the appropriate way of actually looking at and valuing a long-term incentive.
Yeah, I mean, that's a loaded question too. And eHealth has a pretty volatile stock price too. So when we have these conversations, it's usually with TA and the candidates and making sure they're understanding the
Sure.
potential value and current value and past value and still not making any promises.
But even beyond value, it's how does the mechanic work? What
And
do
the
you do with
mechanics
things?
too, right? First time they're receiving equity of any sort, whether it be
Yeah.
an option or an RSU or a PSU or anything
Right.
else.
Right.
Yeah, to be honest, I think the odd part is, again, emotional. Just being part of the club makes them happy.
Interesting.
They don't even have to
Right.
understand what the deal is, but hey, I get the same thing the executives get.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
But then
one of the
later on, you got to explain vesting and the timing of taxation. And
sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's something that's kind of a very strange process. We don't really have these paradigms that live outside of that realm of employee stock plans or the employee stock options or restricted stock or other types of equity. When you're an owner, it's not, I mean, even if you got dividends, you're like, nah, these dividends are not much. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But when you have an option that's vested and it actually has real value in it, and you have to evaluate your tax circumstance and other things, there's not a lot of similar things in your world.
And there's trading windows that kind of lock you into like
Right.
only being able to make an action in a few
Especially if
weeks.
you're
a
an
year.
insider.
Yeah. I think a lot of that is, again, just being aware of the resources around you, because if you are getting equity, it is usually tied to a bigger vendor providing it, perhaps Morgan Stanley
Right.
or E-Trade owned by Morgan Stanley as
Now.
this episode's example of a company. They have people who are very willing to help you out, and arguably they may actually sell you on a product, so be
Right.
careful how far you go.
Right.
But they are there to kind of guide you on how to plan and the taxation and the mechanics there. And obviously we want to explain the basics, but we're not trying to get into every personal circumstance.
Right.
Yeah, taxation in general, probably the hardest part of this though.
I think one of the other things is dilution. And what I mean by that, I don't mean stock dilution. I mean dilution of your portfolio, because if you have too much concentrated, and maybe
Dilution of
dilution's
the
the wrong word.
diversity of your portfolio. Yeah,
Right,
I agree.
Yeah.
You have 50% of your finances tied to one stock, plus you have your job tied to that
Yeah.
same. Yeah. Obviously, my base suggestion to people, hashtag I'm not anything, blah, 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 whatever, is diversify right away.
Yeah.
Do what's right for you. If you have X amount coming to you, still you have to count those into your holdings,
Right.
even if it's unvested.
Exactly. Well, Casey, got to tell you, it's been a thrill. We had fun conversations in the past. This one's been awesome. I hope the people who've been paying attention have taken some notes. This is one of those things where people will make good decisions or bad decisions based on those personalities that we talked about before. But I think they learned probably a little bit today.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Thank you for being
everyone.
here.
Say hi. Thanks, David. Thanks, Dwight.
Dwight, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for being here.
Bye, everyone.
And thank you, everybody, for listening. Take care and stay tuned for the next HR Data Labs Brown Bag Lunch, and stay safe.